and this is called Zukertot opening Sicilian invitation. And you can see that the previous setup looks like English opening and symmetrical variation, and after this knight to c6 by black, and this complete setup is called Sicilian Defense Accelerated Dragon Marozzi bind. Now in this position, black brings his knight to g4, sacrificing the knight as well as opening the diagonal for this bishop, and after this, simply he takes knight takes d4, Clearly you can see that black is preparing for h5, but castling might be the better option for black. Okay, so this move guards this b4 pawn as well as preparing for rook to c2. Okay, so basically this move opens the d file for the queen, and clearly you can see that now it is threatening to sacrifice the knight on e7 so that it can takes on d7. So that's why black brings his bishop to c6. Okay, guarding this square, but d6 might be the better option because it also opens some space for this king. And that's a big mistake by Vishy. This is because he missed something brutal. Instead of going to c2, he must consider this amazing move b5. And now it's important for this bishop to capture this knight. But why? This is because suppose if black decides to bring back his bishop to b7, now in this position white can actually sacrifice his knight by playing knight takes e7. This is because after king takes e7, queen takes d7 check, and after king moves, white will simply gain back his piece and black has to lose his bishop. So that's why after the move b5, after this move, black is actually forced to capture this knight. Okay, and after suppose takes, now this knight is under attack. After it moves, but now black can simply capture this bishop white can capture this by bishop takes c5. This is because after takes, now comes d6, creating a discover attack to this rook, and after suppose rook moves to e8, now simply rook takes a7, and clearly you can see that white is winning. Okay, so in the actual game, after the move queen to c2, clearly you can see that black wants to place his bishop to e5. Yeah, but instead of this, white must consider the move b5, attacking this dangerous bishop. But here black blunders, black made a mistake by playing d6. And again, that's a big mistake because now white can simply capture this knight, and after this you can see that black pawn structure get compromised. But instead of capturing this knight, Vishy missed this move and instead he decides to slide his king to h1, completely missing this amazing opportunity. A good move by white, deflecting this knight so that it can leave the defense of f8 square. And obviously you also can't capture this f4 pawn with the pawn, because by this black pawn structure get compromised. So that's why here black decides to capture this pawn with the knight, completely leaving the defense of this square. And after this, Vishy simply brings his rook to f8. And now it's important for black king to simply go to this c4 square so that it cannot get any further checks. But instead of this, he blunders by going to c5 square. This is because now Vishy instantly brings his rook to f7, preparing to give a check from h5 square. Okay, so now comes the most important part of this game. In this position, can you find the winning move for white? You might get shocked from this move that there is only one move by which white is winning. And can you find that move? Let me clear one thing, that it's not rook to f3 check, because then black will simply defend it by simply pushing the pawn, and by this you can see that this game becomes draw. So how will you continue this game? The winning move for white is actually rook to f5, and if you find that move, then congratulations, you are a super grandmaster. This is because now you can see that black is forced to defend this bishop. Suppose if he defends on h8 square, but now white will simply attacks this bishop again by rook to h5. Okay, and after bishop to g7, rook to c5 check, king to b3, g5, d3, king to c1 trying to stop this. Okay, bishop to d4 attacking this rook, rook to c6, bishop to e3 check, king to d1, king to a2, g6, bishop to h6, stopping any further pawn push, but simply rook to c7 with the idea of g7, b3. Now black can continue this game in two different ways. In both cases, white is winning, so the obvious one which we can play in this position is simply rook to a7 check. This is because after king to b1, g7, bishop takes g7, rook takes g7, b2, rook to b7, king to a2, h5, b1 equal to queen, rook takes b1, king takes b1, and finally h6. And clearly you can see that no one can stop this pawn. But in the actual game, after bishop to e5, here Vishy missed that move and he blunders by playing g5. And now this position becomes completely equal, because now black simply pushed his pawn to d3. And you can see that he is close to promotion. Vishy also pushed his pawn, but after this b3, and you can see that black is very close to get promoted, so that's why Vishy pinned this pawn by his rook. And here black blunders by moving his king to d2, blocking his own pawn which is close to promotion. And now Vishy simply pushed his pawn further, and black slides his king to e2, tries to attack this rook, but simply rook takes d3. And in this position black resigned, because you can see that after takes no one can stop these connected pawns. But guys, let me go back to this move. Okay, wait, yeah. So can you find the only move for black which can save this game? In this position, the best move for black is not to move his king. And and obviously you can see that it's black is in trouble. And what can black play in this position? It is actually not king to d2, it is bishop to g7, stopping these pawns from any further movement, and this game is now completely equal. But why? This is because suppose in this position white tries to promote his pawn by supporting his h pawn by rook to h3. Now black will simply moves his king to d4 first, which unpins the king, and if suppose white pushed his pawn further, threatening to play this, simply d2. And now to stop this promotion, the only move for white is to simply bring back his rook to h1. But after this, king to d3, h6, attacking this bishop. And just pause the video and try to find the crazy move which black can play in this position. And yeah, that's the craziest part of this game. In this position, the only move for black is to sacrifice his bishop by bishop take h6, trying to deflect this rook so that black can promote his pawn. So that's why obviously white can't capture this bishop, and he has to move his rook to d1. And now you can see that this game is completely equal. Let me know in the comments that how many of you finds that move. This is your host Bison signing off. Bye bye.